I have, thank you.
Good morning, ma'am.
I have forwarded the slides for today's discussion to you earlier. I sent them in yesterday. I hope you all have the slides. I'm having issues sharing my laptop with you all so that you can see the slides as we discuss. So I expect you all have the slides now. So I will just proceed. So today we want to talk about, can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we want to talk about climate of Africa. We want to discuss climate. So I'll ask you questions. Please respond. What is climate?
Climate is the average weather condition of a particular place over a long period of time.
Yes, what is climate?
Climate is the average weather condition of a particular place over a long period of time.
Okay, good. So that means you have an idea of what climate is. Now, as you said, climate has to do with the average weather condition of a place over a long period of time. So we want to talk about the climate of Africa. And that is important because climate, elements of climate are like temperature and rainfall influence cultivation of crops and habitability. How they are able to adapt to their environment is influenced by climate. And remember when we talked about the location of Africa, most of Africa that is lies within the tropics, that is Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn, that's between latitude 37 degrees north and 35 degrees south. So 3/4 of the surface of Africa lies in tropics. Now, the implication of that is that large, please unmute your so that you can stop the discussion. I can hear a lot of background noise, please. So, part of Africa within the tropics, and that influences the climate system. Only the extreme north and south of the continent have climatic conditions. North and south have climatic conditions. Africa receives high temperature throughout the year, of course, because it is located within the tropics. It's located within the tropics. So the rays of the sun more or less get to those parts within the tropics directly. Gets to those parts within the tropics directly, and so temperature is high. Temperature is high in those areas. And then so temperature is high throughout Africa, except in the highland areas. The highland areas that receive more rainfall than the surrounding lowlands. And most of Africa have 2 seasons, just like we have it in Nigeria. We have the dry season and the rainy season. And now talking about the temperature of Africa, as I said earlier, because Africa lies within the tropics, we receive high solar radiation. Most of this solar radiation is received in the Sahara, varies up to between 3,600 and 4,000 sunshine hours is received in the Sahara. And of course, it reduces as we move towards the equator. In the southwest of Southwest Africa, it's about 3,600 hours. Around the equator, it is 1,000 to 2,000 hours of sunshine per year. Okay, so that, of course, has its own implications. Since we have high solar radiation, it means we can actually use the solar radiation for a lot of developmental purposes. And then temperature, of course, is high throughout the year. Annual range, when we say the range, that's the difference between the highest temperature and lowest temperature is between 3 to 6 degrees centigrade. And the annual range is high in the desert, is up to 15 degrees centigrade. That means the highest temperature minus the lowest temperature. Highest temperature within a particular year is up very high in the desert areas. Of course, we'll expect that because temperature in the desert is very high, and they also have very low temperatures in some parts in the evenings and then some parts of the year. And then the mean annual temperature is between 20 degrees and 30 degrees centigrade. Again, there's seasonal variation in temperature in the interior parts, that is away from the coast. The temperature varies with the seasons, and of course, in the temperate part, there's also variation, that is in the extreme north and extreme south than around the equator. And that seasonal variation in temperature is due to the movement of the overhead sun. Movement of the overhead sun. Now, is due to the movement of the overhead sun. Is due to movement of the overhead sun. You know that the Earth, movement of the Earth, we have Earth rotation and Earth revolution. So you go back and read your geography textbook, your secondary school geography textbook about movement, Earth revolution, and you see how that influences the temperature of an area. That is the movement of the overhead sun. When the sun is overhead a particular area, temperature will be high, the other areas will be low, and so on. So it leads to the 4 seasons, just to remind you. It leads to the 4 seasons. What are those 4 seasons? Can anybody tell me the 4 seasons we have?
Summer, winter, autumn, and spring.
Autumn, winter, spring, and winter.
Summer,
Summer, winter, autumn, and spring.
Yes. Summer, winter, autumn, and spring. Summer, winter, autumn, and spring. Now, I sent on the LMS platform, I also sent you a PDF document on climate of Africa. Please read that document. It will explain further what we are discussing here. Now, in terms of rainfall, I told you that 2 elements of climate. There are several elements of climate apart from temperature and rainfall, but those 2 are the critical ones that influence cultivation and livability. That's why we are focusing on. Now, in terms of rainfall, of course, there are different types of rainfall. Any problem? I can hear a lot of noise. What is the complaint? Yes? What is the complaint? Please write it as a chat. Let me see what you are complaining about. Audio not so clear. So tell your friends to mute their phones or laptops. Okay, and then you, yes. Oluwayomife, what are you trying to say? Anyway, so let me proceed. I said we're talking about rainfall. Now, what are the types of rainfall that we have? There are 3 major types of rainfall. We have the convectional rainfall, the frontal rainfall, and the relief rainfall or orographic rainfall. Now, the orographic and convectional rainfall are of local importance because it is caused by local factors. The major one is the frontal rainfall, that is due to frontal activities. Now, frontal rainfall occurs as a result of the meeting of 2 air masses, meeting of 2 different air masses, that is the low pressure belt of stable humid air mass and the high pressure belt of stable dry air mass. You should come to this class. We are assuming we are in a class with your atlas. I expect you all have your atlas with you so that you will be able to follow the discussion. Your atlas. Now, if you have your atlas there, the Macmillan Atlas is the recommended atlas, which is what I'm going to use to describe the rainfall of Africa. You will see that we have 2 major air masses in Africa. The tropical maritime air mass, which is typified by the southeast or southwest trade winds. That is the tropical maritime air mass. The tropical maritime air mass, that is the humid air, the low